LinkedIn Premium can run you upwards of $959. And since LinkedIn just rolled out a bunch of new premium features, a lot of you have questions about whether or not it's worth it as job seekers, businesses, or recruiters. Well, I have officially been using LinkedIn Premium for an entire year now, so I want to break down all of the different benefits that Premium has to offer, the yeses, the nos, and the maybe so's, so that you can decide whether or not this price tag is worth it for you. As per usual, all of the different perks will be timestamped so that you can skip ahead to what's most interesting or relevant to you. And as always, this is a lot to go over, so please be sure to like this video and subscribe if you are new, and let's just get right into it. So one of the perks of LinkedIn Premium is that you can actually gift it to other people for 2 months at a time. It's like boats. The goal in life isn't really to own your own boat. No, the goal in life is to make friends with financially irresponsible white people who can loan you their boat for 2 months so that you can get a job. Okay, the metaphor's breaking down, but that's besides the point. I've gone ahead and created a burner account. That way you can see what Premium looks like from the user's perspective. I'm gonna go over all of Premium's different features in no particular order, but since Premium just rolled out a bunch of new AI features, I'm gonna go ahead and start there. So the 3 new AI features that they've just added into LinkedIn Premium are all writing based. To start out, we've got the Profile Writing Assistant, and this basically allows an AI writing tool to enhance your profile by going through and making sure that what you have put onto your profile effectively highlights your education, skills, and experiences in a way that would resonate with hiring managers. So you can see that I put in something kind of basic and small. LinkedIn has gone through my profile here and has basically written out something that is a little more fleshed out, and that would be a little better for me as a job seeker. The next AI writing tool that we have is the Post Writing Assistant. And so what this does is it basically edits posts that you write for you. What it'll do is it'll take any post that you write and then try to edit it into something that's a little more accessible for a general audience. So you can see that this is the post that it gave me, and it pulled that from this information. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest here and say that as an individual, I don't really love the big AI implementation push that a lot of tech companies are doing. To me, it feels like corporations are making a rash decision to implement a bunch of these tools and waste obscene amounts of GPU just to make zealous shareholders happy who are too rich and disconnected from the real world to realize that these tools getting implemented are actually hot garbage and not making anybody's experience better. But I will say that writing assistants can be helpful as an editing tool, just because somebody might not be a native English speaker or they might not be particularly good at self-marketing on their own. That being said as well, when you use AI to edit, you are losing a lot of cultural nuance and you are losing a lot of industry jargon. And so if you're going to be using AI editing in order to write posts for you, just realize that it might not make it look like you're actually an insider into the industry that you're applying to. And beyond that, there's no real reason why a normal person needs to write things for an 8th grade audience anyway. Unless you're a journalist or some type of LinkedIn marketing influencer, you can go ahead and add all of the cultural nuance and industry jargon that you want. It is okay. And if you are trying to be a LinkedIn marketing influencer, then you can just steal viral posts from other people and be perfectly successful doing that. And then the last AI writing tool that we get with Premium are AI message drafts. This basically goes in and starts to manually write the first message that you send to recruiters. I'm not going to show you this here just because I don't want to violate anybody's privacy, but basically if you connect with a recruiter and start to send them a message, it will auto-populate a message for you. That way you can go ahead and start that cold contact. And now most of you probably became aware of LinkedIn Premium to begin with because of those notifications saying that somebody viewed your profile, where it's like, hey, somebody viewed your profile, and you go, gee willikers, who is that, LinkedIn? And they go, pay us $200 to $900 a year and then we'll tell you. And then you pay them $900, you go in and you find out that somebody is browsing in private mode as an anonymous LinkedIn member. Okay, so if people are browsing anonymously most of the time, why does this even matter? Well, as a job seeker, it can kind of give you peace of mind mind that somebody from that company is actually looking at your profile and considering you. But again, the benefits of that are entirely psychological. If you're a recruiter, you could use those notifications to collect trends about who's actually looking at your profile, what school they're from, what industry they're in, what job titles that they have, and that could give you some good directional insights on whether or not your efforts are working as a professional. And if you're a woman in your 20s, you can see that your high school ex-boyfriend is stalking you online 7 years later to see what job you ended up getting after graduation. And so yeah, in many ways, this feature ends up becoming completely worthless for anyone who isn't a recruiter or who isn't trying to collect like marketing analytic insights. But again, if you want to be a LinkedIn influencer, you can just steal other people's posts and be completely fine. But ignoring the fact that LinkedIn has become a 2015 Facebook-esque void of pseudo-influencers to spew dogshit opinions into, I want to shift gears and really focus on what the platform is actually for, and that's networking. InMail Messaging is the way that you can contact people on LinkedIn that you are not connected to. Now, like any cold contact, it's obviously a bit of a gamble because people tend to not respond when they get contacted out of nowhere, and even LinkedIn's own data suggests that only 10% of InMail messages that are sent actually get any kind of a response, which is admittedly better than cold contacting over email, but you want to proceed with extreme caution when using InMail messaging to contact somebody on this platform. The basic $256 a year career plan of LinkedIn Premium only gives you access to 5 InMail messages a month, and at a 10% response rate, statistically speaking, that means that you will only hear back from somebody on average once every 2 months if you're using LinkedIn Premium in order to cold contact recruiters. I don't think that that is at all worth it for job seekers. Now, for people like me, for salespeople, for recruiters, for people who use LinkedIn Premium in order to generate money as part of their jobs, InMail messaging absolutely can be worth it because it's one of the most effective ways to directly reach out to somebody who's not one of your first or second degree connections. And so at this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay then, LinkedIn isn't worth it for job seekers, it's only worth it for recruiters and salespeople. And so I do want to push back against that a little bit and look at LinkedIn's top choice and top applicant features. So when you go onto LinkedIn's job board as a premium member, it's going to pull up a list of jobs where you have been labeled as a top applicant. Basically what this means is that according to your profile, you have at least 50% of what that company's job description is looking for publicly listed on your profile. Now, admittedly, this is still in many ways psychological. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of people psych themselves out of applying to jobs that they could be perfectly competitive for. Students are really bad about this, and we find that certain cultural groups, and women especially, tend to not apply to jobs that they aren't a 90+% match for. And so LinkedIn knows this, and so by telling you that you're a top applicant at a job that you're a 50+% match for, they're also trying to help communicate to you that having 50% of what a job description asks for is actually a good thing. Okay, the average person who's hired onto a job is basically never a 100% match to a job description. In the world of recruiting, we call these people unicorns because they don't exist. And so this top applicant feature can be extremely effective for connecting you to jobs that you might very well be qualified to do. But the success rate of connecting you to jobs where you would be a top applicant is heavily dependent on what both you and other people have chosen to self-disclose on your LinkedIn profile. You might get labeled as a top applicant because you've included a lot of information on your profile, whereas somebody else who might have a lot more education skills and experiences than you that are directly related to the job might also be applying with a stellar resume, but they just haven't put anything on their profile yet, so the website assumes that they aren't a top applicant. So I don't want to be like super pessimistic or cynical here, but it is something that you need to think about when using LinkedIn Premium's analytics tools. But on the flip side of that, I do really want to encourage you, if you are using LinkedIn to find a job, to cram as much information about yourself as humanly possible on this website. If you have a lot of information about yourself on there, then that makes the analytics tool as effective as possible at connecting you to potential jobs. Except the only drawback is that it does pull from keywords, and so it might recommend jobs to you in your industry that you're not actually qualified for. Take me, for example. I'm not qualified to do anything. Okay, so my formal training is in like job market research and economics, right? And so a lot of the work that I do in academia just so happens to support the work that engineering research centers are doing. I'm not an engineer, don't have an ABET accredited degree. I am not qualified to do engineering work at all. But because of the nature of the industry that I work for, the word engineer appears all over the place on my resume and on my personal LinkedIn account. And so I get job recommendations all the time for engineering roles, even though I'm not actually an engineer myself. So it's just a little something to look out for. The system is not perfect. And so what you want to do instead is go in and try to find target roles in the industry, in the companies, or even just in the jobs that you're looking for, and make sure that your profile is as much of a one-to-one match between what the company is looking for and what you bring to the table as possible. Make sure that your education, your skills, and your experiences are contextualized in such a way that it's clear to the hiring manager that you have what they're looking for. Not only is this good LinkedIn profile advice, but it's also just really good resume writing advice in general. And so let's shift gears then and talk about LinkedIn's resume building tool. Okay, so we've got our burner account here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to more and then click save to PDF. And what that's going to do is it's going to take all of the information that I've self-disclosed on my profile, and it's going to create a starter resume for me. And this is a good start, like don't get me wrong. Quirky templates and bad formatting are the primary ways that job seekers self-sabotage themselves when writing resumes. And so the fact that LinkedIn has given me a resume that structures my education, skills, and experiences in an easy to read and easy to skim way is a good start when it comes to building a resume. That being said, this is a very incomplete document. There is a lot of white space on it, the text is really big, and it doesn't really do a very good job of showing that I have those one-to-one connections between what I bring to the table and what it is that a hiring manager would be looking for. And so I wouldn't try to rely entirely on LinkedIn's resume building feature because again, it's built entirely off of what you have chosen to self-disclose on your document. Okay, now the best feature of LinkedIn Premium, in my opinion, is the LinkedIn Learning tool. Online courses are expensive, so whether you're using Skillshare, the Great Courses Plus, School, or whatever else, in order to do digital learning online, LinkedIn Learning could be a very reasonable alternative for you if you're going to be spending that money anyway, and you know that you want to use LinkedIn for your own job-seeking purposes. So what it basically is it's a catalog of a ton of different, pretty well-produced video essays on different topics. We've got things like strategic content marketing, marketing communications, strategy, B2B marketing. Really anything that might be relevant to you as a professional is probably going to be here on LinkedIn Learning. And again, if you're paying for online courses anyway, then the price tag of LinkedIn Premium itself might offset the cost of what you would have otherwise spent to use one of those other websites. Now, I do want to throw out, if you are a college student, it is very possible that by paying your tuition, you already have access to LinkedIn Learning for free as a benefit of attending the university that you attend. A lot of different colleges have partnerships with LinkedIn where they offer LinkedIn Learning as a partnership benefit to those institutions. So definitely just like go into Google really quick, type in your university name, put in LinkedIn Learning. So you can see at UCLA, LinkedIn Learning is free for all staff because they're a partner institution on that front, but it might very well be available to you as a student, so take a look before you pay for it yourself. Another perk of LinkedIn Premium that often gets ignored is that they do also do partnerships with other subscription-based services. So if we go into LinkedIn Premium's current perks, we can see that we would have access to 6 months of Audible Plus, 4 months of Calm, 3 months of Microsoft 365, BetterHelp, and occasionally other subscription services that LinkedIn chooses to partner with. Again, I don't think that the massive price tag of LinkedIn Premium is worth it just to access these subscription services, but if you're using LinkedIn Premium anyway, and if you want to use these other services anyway, then you might as well leverage your LinkedIn Premium subscription. That way you can access them for free for several months instead of having to pay for the entire thing. Now, speaking of subscriptions, I mentioned this before, but there are actually 3 different plans that you have available when choosing what LinkedIn Premium subscription to pay for. The default plan is called Business. It's $539 a year, and it gives you access to 15 InMail credits, unlimited people browsing, and a bunch of other features that are slightly more expanded than the cheapest option of LinkedIn Premium, which is the Career plan that runs you $239 a month. Again, that's pretty limited. It only gives you access to 5 InMail messages a month, which again at a 10% response rate means that on average you're only going to hear back once every 2 months from people. And then at the most expensive end of things, there is the Sales Navigator Pro plan, which is a little under $1,000 a year. Like I said before, I personally use LinkedIn Premium in order to connect with companies. That way I can get them to come recruit at my university's career fairs. They come and spend a lot of money, and so the cost of LinkedIn Premium is completely offset for me because I strategically use those InMail credits in order to generate more money than LinkedIn costs, which is awesome. But for the average job seeker, I really would not ever recommend paying for LinkedIn Premium just for the InMail messaging alone. I just don't think that getting an average response rate of 1 message every 2 months is worth it. And now I know that some of you out there are saying, well, if LinkedIn Premium is $200 a year and I'm able to get a raise of more than $200 within 1 year, then I have effectively offset the cost of Premium. I'm not going to encourage you to try to arbitrage Premium or whatever else, but if that's something that you think that you can do and you manage to pull it off, awesome, good for you. I just personally wouldn't recommend it as a job market specialist. But just because I don't recommend LinkedIn Premium to job seekers as a job market specialist doesn't mean that I don't recommend using LinkedIn in general. In fact, I highly recommend leveraging all of LinkedIn's free tools when it comes to trying to launch, especially from college, into the professional workforce, or to try to get a job outside of your immediate network. This might not sound super relevant at surface level, but bear with me for a second because I really want to talk about LinkedIn's analytics tools. So if you go into your university, you can go into either the alumni or the insights tabs, and it can tell you all kinds of really interesting information. So if I went in and I put in, mechanical engineering, LinkedIn will go through and it will pull up every single recent graduate from my university who's on the website, who studied mechanical engineering. And it's going to tell me what companies they were working for. It's going to tell me where physically they work. It's going to tell me what industries they've gone into, what skills helped them get a job, and a whole bunch of other information that could be super directionally insightful for you as somebody trying to launch into the professional workforce. And that is completely free on LinkedIn. You do not have to pay for Premium to access this feature. One thing I will remind you though is that you do have to be connected to recruiters at these companies before you can actually talk to them. So if I were to click on Northrop Grumman and go down, all of these people's names are going to be listed as LinkedIn member because I'm not connected to them or connected to somebody that they're connected to. So if I wanted to contact one of these people, I would have to use an InMail message in order to do it. So the best way to get around this, in my opinion, is to pay attention to whenever recruiters are physically coming to your school's hiring events. Anytime that there is a job fair or an information session or an open house or any type of career expo, pay attention to who the recruiters are from your target companies. What you're going to want to do is put their name into LinkedIn and then connect with those people. Even if you aren't actively applying to that company right now, that will make it so that you don't have to use an InMail message and therefore don't have to spend any money in order to talk to somebody at that company down the road. Gurus like me on YouTube can give you all of the best generalized advice in the world on how to apply to jobs, how to build a resume, how to optimize your LinkedIn LinkedIn profile, but the best people around for getting the best information about how to apply to your target job in your target company in your target industry at the most optimal time are the recruiters at those companies who are financially incentivized to help you. So definitely make sure that you are connecting with them early and often. That way you can take advantage of these connections down the road, and so that you will be as prepared as reasonably possible to launch into the workforce. And then finally, the last thing that I see LinkedIn as being really valuable for is just using it as an online portfolio to showcase things about yourself that might not necessarily fit on a resume. You can stick website links and articles and publications and personal projects and pictures and all kinds of stuff onto your LinkedIn profile that you just don't necessarily have a place for when writing a one-page industry professional resume. I would highly recommend that even if you aren't applying to jobs right now, get your LinkedIn profile set up, really familiarize yourself with the platform, how it works, how the networking side of things works, how the job listing side of things works, and use it as kind of a long form portfolio to highlight what it is that you bring to the table. And so if you fill your profile with as much information as you reasonably can, that's going to make you a lot better off when it comes to applying to those jobs down the road. And if you are interested in being as effective as possible when launching into the professional workforce, then please be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and check out one of the many other videos that I have made about the professional job market. Thank you again for your continued support, and I will see you in the next video.